Billy Luna.
Part 5.
I'm not going to platform people that I don't think are valid. I think there are several people out there right now that are complete phonies.
Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.
You talked about Frank Sheeran. You can say what you want about Frank Sheeran, but I mean, look at the end of The Irishman, prime example. And I think it was such a brilliant scene when he's just sitting there with the nurse, and the nurse is taking his blood pressure, and he's looking at the picture of his daughter and Jimmy Hoffa, and he's reliving in his head 30, 40 years ago, and the bond that we had. And the girl looks at it, she goes, "Who's that?" And he's like, "You don't know who that is?" And he realizes at that point that all the shit that he did, and life just kept going, and that no one knows who he is. And his whole family hated him. He was alone. He died in a room, in a bed. Nobody knew where he was. And it was like, what about it? Even in the end, the cops were like, everyone's dead. What are you holding back on? Tell us, and he never told, and I think that's one honorable thing about Frank Sheeran, I have to say. He never flipped, he never went and said, "Hey, I did this," or "they did that." He just kept it quiet and said, "Wait till I die," and that's also honorable, I think, too.
He was never a snitch.
The Martin Scorsese film The Irishman centers around Frank Sheeran, played by Robert De Niro. Sheeran claims to have been the shooter in the murder of Labor superstar Jimmy Hoffa. The film is based on Charles Brandt's book, I Heard You Paint Houses, but skepticism arose as Sheeran's account contradicted known facts. Investigative reporter Dan Moldea, the preeminent Jimmy Hoffa disappearance expert, warned Robert De Niro in a face-to-face meeting about the dubious nature of Sheeran's confession. But the film, with its questionable narrative, proceeded. Moldea and others contest Sheeran's role, citing his absence during crucial moments and the FBI's failure to implicate him. Inconsistencies in Sheeran's narrative, including geographical inaccuracies, raised doubts. Theories about Hoffa's disappearance vary, and the FBI's investigation remains inconclusive. Moldea argues that Sheeran's confession was financially motivated, driven by a desire to secure a legacy. Of course, as we all know, Hollywood has a tendency to embellish facts in movies based on true stories, blurring or even destroying the line between fact and fiction.
I think his motivation for just lying is that what you just kind of pointed out there is that he is just this lonely old man with nothing and no one. And then it's just like, oh, I killed Jimmy Hoffa. I killed Joey Gallo. I provided the guns for the Kennedy assassination. I'm just, give me some attention. Give me some love. I'm alone. That's the motivation, because he just has nobody. And I think that that's the motivation for a lot of people to just lie, just because, or just, I guess if you just have no life at all and you just need some celebrity, because like you said, it's a drug. Celebrity, it's hard to understand. Well, you got a taste of it, and that's what it is. It's a drug.
Well, that's one of the reasons I did started the show I have, because I wanted to kind of tell the stories truthfully, right? I may not get every single piece of everything correct, but I'm not going to platform people that I don't think are valid. I think there are several people out there right now that they're phony. They're complete phonies. Some of them embellish. Some people are just completely false. They're not who they say they are. They make stories up. They crave, and they think because they look like a gangster, or maybe they have a gangster name, that they can pass in being a mobster. And I think it's important that we police it and don't allow those people to change history, because this history is quite interesting, and I think there needs to be more people that are doing it correctly, and not putting goofy titles, because, I saw a title today. It was ridiculous. I mean, there's this guy that I've questioned many times. I mean, this guy calls him a mob boss. It's like, he wasn't even a made man in the mob. Like, what are we talking about here? I think the one way you can spot a fake is they only mention people that are dead. And they always go after the biggest names. John Gotti, the Goodfellas, the big boys. I knew all of them. It's like, oh, okay. How come it's only your words then? There's no police report. There's no court files. There's nothing. I'll tell you what. You want to know about the mob, and you want to know if someone's real or not? Gregory Scarpa was an informant for 30 years. You can read every FBI file on the internet. It's free. If you were real, or Joe Valachi before him, I mean, you look at Mikey Scar's testimony, and he mentioned so many people. That's how you can tell if someone's real or not. If they were actually that important, they'd be mentioned by somebody. Hey, I heard of this guy. His name is so-and-so. They would show up. But on top of it, there's never been a news story on you, but you're this big heist guy. You've done all these things. It's like, where's the proof? I mean, do you have any proof? I could say I was in the Chicago outfit, but, I don't have any proof.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting what you said there, because I think that's why I'm sitting here talking to you today, because I feel that what you do and what certain people do, you mentioned OC Shortz, and it's like I'm that guy too. I am a stickler for the truth, and I think you are too. And we dig, and maybe we don't always have it, but we try as hard as we can to dig and dig and dig.
A lot of people don't do that though. I mean, I give people credit that do, right? Because I just feel like when you start platforming and you start doing stuff and saying stuff that's not valid, I think you hurt your credibility. And I think before you know it, like a lot of people I've noticed, they're smart in this genre. Like the people that watch this stuff, they may have lived in these neighborhoods. They know these people. Mm-hmm. And, eventually you're going to, there's a bunch of people that have been called out on here, for not being truthful about who they are. And I think that's just the people that really enjoy this genre, and they almost police it as well.
Mm-hmm. It's important because, man, it's history. I mean, since I was a kid, when I was a kid, I was into Greek mythology and Cosa Nostra. Because Cosa Nostra is kind of like a modern criminal mythology, and it's historically important. And you know why? Because it's on a base level, it's fascinating. It's as just entertainment, and it's important to preserve that history and understand it. And it's an elusive history, of course, because it's such a secretive thing, But we just if you do your best to not, and you have a real. I'm out here in LA. I've got a real bullshit detector. I mean, if somebody's Cosa Nostra, I mean, I've had so many people contact me. Do you know how many people I've had contact me that say that they killed Jimmy Hoffa or have knowledge of it? A lot. And I have vetted them all. And it's interesting. I'll tell you something off camera about something more legitimate, but it's like, and also the same thing in LA. It's like everyone's a producer. I can tell within 20 seconds of talking to somebody whether they're full of S,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good metric at this point on that as well. Yeah, and there's a lot of people doing it. But yeah, I just try to, tell the right story, shout out to you for doing that as well. I think there's got to be a couple of people doing that. So
Part 6 coming soon. Links to parts 1 through 4 of the Jeff Nadu sit down in the video's description and on the end screen.
Billy Luna.
In other parts of the Jeff Nadu sit down, we cover John Gotti, Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano, Michael Franzese, and many other hot mob topics. The Billy Luna channels bring you the latest and most fascinating Mafia stories, including the past and ongoing saga of Skinny Joey Merlino. Don't forget to check out Joey Merlino's channel, The Skinny with Joey Merlino.
Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.